So Scheffler says that, when we really think about it, it's actually more important to us that there's a collective afterlife than there is a personal afterlife. So one of the ways in which he does this is kind of considering this thought experiment. So if you were offered the option of this kind of personal afterlife, um, in this kind of religious sense, so the continued existence of your own life after the death of your physical body, would you choose that, in the knowledge that it would come at the cost of the continued existence of a collective afterlife, so the continued existence of human life in general? And Scheffler says that when people are faced with this case, nobody's going to say yes. It's And so this is meant to reveal that it's far more important to us that there's a collective afterlife than there is a personal afterlife. And why is this the case? And Scheffler wants to say that this is because we kind of depend on future generations for our own lives to matter. So the there's the reason why future generations are important is because the impact that our actions have now are going to have a really important impact on future generations. And because of the kind of recognition that we get from future generations, the impact that our kind of projects that we care about um, have as a continuing thing. So it seems like if we take certain kind of future directed actions, certain long-term projects. So one of the examples we might consider is reforming the political system in the country that we live in. The only reason why we care about doing that um, is because we think it's going to be something that's important kind of going forwards. And so that suggests that we think it's meaningful, not just for us, but for the people who are going to outlive us. And so Scheffler wants to argue that if we contribute to the destruction of future generations, such as, through catastrophic climate change, then we're undermining the conditions for our own lives to be valuable because we rely so heavily on future generations for our lives to matter. And Scheffler goes on and says that, this provides a kind of motivation for helping future generations because if it seems like a lot of our actions are going to prevent future generations from having these kind of good lives where they can kind of continue on these valuable projects that we've started, um, then it's going to undermine the meaning of our own lives as well. So I bring up the example of Scheffler here and his kind of project because I think it's a really interesting and nuanced approach to what seems like a kind of straightforward question: is there life after death? So most people would be kind of encouraged to pursue this fairly narrowly and think about this kind of what Scheffler would call the personal afterlife, and think about this kind of religious context, what happens to me after the death of my physical body. Is there personal afterlife for me? Yes or no? And this is definitely a valid way of approaching this question, but I think Scheffler shows another way of approaching this, which can be really profitable because his whole project is meant to be showing that our views about the collective afterlife and the continued life of others after we die is something that's been neglected, despite the fact that it reveals really important things about how we work as agents who value and agents who find things valuable. So if you're interested in this kind of ethical angle, I would recommend going and looking at Scheffler's stuff. And there's some responses to his work by other philosophers, which are also illuminating in working out what his kind of key assumptions and key premises are.